Interesting. Okay. So, Dan, you've got another one here that talks about Silicon Valley's dirty secret, and it looks like it's using contractors. They call it a shadow workforce. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on there?
Well, this gets me really angry. I don't know what the
Yeah.
job situation is like in Canada, but I know here in the States, whenever you join a big company, instead of offering full time, we don't have free healthcare like you do. They
Yeah.
just offer contract work. And so they say, we'll give you 40 hours of contract work, but you're not going to be a full-time employee. What does that mean? That means you don't get a 401k. That means you don't get health insurance. It means you don't get vacation time. If you don't go to work, you simply don't get paid. And what's frustrating is now the big companies are doing it. This isn't just
Hmm.
mom and pop places that can't afford healthcare. This is Google. This is Amazon. This is Apple. This is huge companies that have tons of money that should hire people full time so that, if they get fired, they have a severance package, or if they have kids, they have a healthcare package. And people are saying yes to this because the unemployment rate has never been this low. And so lots of people are getting jobs, but these jobs aren't real jobs. They're contract work. It's gig economy work. It's side hustle work. And
Mm.
it's frustrating that they're working 40 plus hours and they're not getting a guarantee. I know personally when I started my job, that's how it was. I was a contract worker for the first 2 years. And when they finally switched me over to full time, you see benefits, and it's just such a relief. As well, if you're trying to buy a house, mortgage companies really want to see that you're full time and not a contract work, because it gives you a little more reputable with your money, anyways. And so I just thought it
Yep.
was frustrating that these huge places, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Uber, and other Silicon Valley tech titans, are just doing contract work. So they reached out to them and they said, "Why are you doing this?" And they revealed it was because they wanted to trim HR costs,
Mm.
which makes sense for their bottom line, but it's frustrating for tech workers.
It's fascinating because I started my career same as you on contract, straight out of university, and Canada actually changed our tax laws around being a numbered company or a limited company, and you actually have to prove that you have more than one customer. So, for example, if I was hired by Apple here in Canada, then I would have to show, if I was a contractor, that I had more than just Apple as a customer, or else I would be deemed an employee. And in,
Nice.
in fact, the Canadian government has gone after companies that have done this and said, by the way, Matt is an employee because you give him 40 hours a week and he has no other customers. And so now you owe the government your portion of the taxes that you normally would have paid if he had been an employee. So I know in the States you got FICA and SUDA, and different states have different benefits and taxes that the employer has to pay. And so it's the same in Canada. We have Canadian Pension Plan, CPP, we have employment insurance, EI, and the employer has to pay half. Now, if I was a contractor, I have to pay all those things myself. So I still have to pay into the Canadian pension plan. I still have to get my employment insurance, but my limited company or my numbered company would pay that portion for me, and then I would pay my own as well. So in Canada, it's interesting that since the crackdown, we've seen a lot less contract work. But when I started in oil and gas and heavy and industrial, just about everybody was a contractor. And some people really liked it because it normally meant you got about 20 to 25% more on your hourly rate. And with that, you could go out and purchase your own insurance, and you could put away your own retirement savings plan money. So is that different than what's happening in the US? Like if I went to go get a job with one of these companies in Silicon Valley, would they say, oh, your contract for $40 an hour, or you could be a permanent employee at $40 an hour, or would they say contract you get 45 or 50?
From this article, it seems to me that people are starting off with contract work. It makes it easy to fire someone. They don't have any protection.
True. Yeah.
And it's frustrating. And I think only the people that have been there for several years are now getting the full-time work. They may offer an olive branch to people that are very talented in the industry. But it seems to me that this is kind of the way it's going in the future. And, quite frankly, I think it's frustrating, especially because the companies are so rich. I
Yeah.
mean, they can afford it. And, they're really looking at their bottom line. And it seems like that's kind of the way of the future of the full-time employees out the door and the contract employee is in. So.
Well, you guys need to be like good old left-wing Canada up here and crack down on that.
All right.
Yeah.